What up, you guys? Happy Easter. Happy completion of Passover. Happy 420. Happy all the things. I am crashing from sugar high. I'm finished with the fast today. So we had kind of a Thanksgiving style dinner for Easter with turkey and dressing. So that's hitting. All the cakes and pies and ice creams are hitting. And Easter candy. So I am tired, but we're here for our weekly energy oracle forecast. So we're going to have our video real quick before I lose all the rest of my energy. Ooh, ego, but it's upside down. And I was just looking at the deck earlier before I started shuffling to make sure I was holding it right side up. And this one usually doesn't get mixed around, but I feel like that's what Passover is all about. It's about turning our ego upside down and turning around our perception and flipping on our head what we think, what we perceive, what we cling to, turning those beliefs on their head. And so turning around our thought process, turning around our mindset, and freeing ourselves from the ego. So if any card were to come out reversed, I love to see the ego in reverse, because it's like we're spilling out all of that toxicness. We're pulling the weeds that have been growing and, we've been letting get out of control. If you stay on top of weeding, then you have a nice garden all summer and it's not that big of a job. But when you let the weeds get out of control, they put in deep and vast and tangled root systems. And they're very hardy and they're very determined and they're hard to get rid of. And so that's just the same as negative thoughts. They get in there, and if we don't stay on top of them, then they make roots and they take root, and the roots get deep and the roots grow wide and thick and tangled, and they're hard to sift all the good soil out of. So we really have to get in there and make an effort and make a conscious effort. And that's what we've been doing over these last several weeks, and what we'll continue to do through the Omer. Is just to keep that mindset going. All the things that we were made aware of during our preparation for Passover, or even just knowing that all these planets have been in retrograde. Mars was in Cancer and it finally went direct in Leo. And it's oh my gosh, I have been the weeping willow for months. And it's just been yesterday and today that I finally feel like I'm getting my mojo back and feeling some moxie. Again, it was kind of rough. Oh, look, I kept feeling I needed to pull this card at the bottom. It's joy. Finally, joy is beginning to crown us. Again, we're just feeling lighter. We're feeling more frisky and fiery and optimistic and emboldened. So I love that. That's because we've, freed ourselves from the bindings of our fears and our limitations and our limited beliefs and assumptions. And so we're getting out of that and we're moving forward and we're shaking off that grief and that anger. And when we're taken over by grief and anger for too long, the Holy Spirit can't connect with us. The Holy Spirit leaves us. Because it doesn't share that affinity. The Holy Spirit is joy. And that crown of favor comes when we can muster that joy and that strength. And many times it takes a lot of strength to muster joy in the face of darkness and in the loudness of that voice of the ego. And so to be able to build the muscles and that relationship, that heavenly connection to God, to our source, to the Christ, to Holy Spirit, that gives us strength in times where the ego's temptations get so strong, when things are so uncertain and scary and scarce. That's the illusions that part of the consciousness of the mind wants us to buy into. So we have to overcome that. And when we do, that's when we are able to feel light and joyous again. And that is a very powerful position to be in, because when we have a consciousness of joy, we're planting with joy. And it's the good feelings like joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and love. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. And so when we're in that state of consciousness, we can be super fruitful in what we're doing. So and we can be really effective co-creators. Get this. Okay, cooperation. And it's funny too, because the card that was sitting under joy was divinity. So it's like, as we strengthen that connection with the creator, we keep cultivating our joy. We keep that connection with God strong and consistent and constant. And we maintain our like cleaving to the creator. It helps us to keep creating and keep co-creating in a fruitful way. We're aligning with the highest path for ourselves. And so anytime we try to like force something that to happen, if it's not really meant for us, it's always going to come with chaos. But if we can cooperate with trying to align ourselves with the divine plan with our life, and not fight against that, but like try to actually align with that and go with that and find that path, then that actually, it's not without challenge, but it definitely gives us like resonance, and it puts us in connection with our blessings and our protection and our favor, even through challenges. Okay, what is this? Air Nexus. I feel like we've been really called to connect to a consistent meditation practice that involves like not like a guided meditation, but something quiet. At the very most in complex, maybe some like abstract music or like classical music or something just instrumental. But I think that we need to get into a practice of getting quiet, being still, breathing, letting space be, letting the air, like focusing on the breath, but giving just general air space to our thoughts. And I think that this is like weaving that fabric of creation for us. The nexus is how everything is connected, right? This reminds me of our respiratory system. This almost reminds me of like putting out like a hive signal. Like, what are we resonating? What are we humming? What is our frequency? What's our aura putting out? And so we can strengthen that and focus that and enhance that and deepen our connection to our like intuition and our foresight and our awareness, and maybe even strengthen our dreams by doing that meditation. And by doing that meditation, we have like inner visions that we see, and we can connect more clearly to our like divine guidance. I think that's it. Let's see what this is. Oh, and feel. Yeah. So the more that we turn down the volume of our ego, the more that we enhance our feelings of joy, because joy also comes with surrender and peace and trust. It's hard to let go to joy if we don't have peace, surrender, and trust also. So the more we have these, the more flow we will be in, the more cooperative like our co-creative efforts will be. They'll be efficient. They'll be moving proficiently with joy. And then otherwise, give things space to develop. Breathe, give yourself space. Don't rush through your day so frantic and in a hurry, right? Give it space to breathe, and give yourself space to slow down and be with your thoughts, because we just rush through life, and we don't even stop to consider like, what we're thinking, or give ourselves time to ponder, right? So stop and smell all the irises. Like, I had to like slow down and go visit my first iris that bloomed today. I was so excited. It was like the most deep purple. I loved it. It's a great little Easter present. So give things space, give yourself time to sit in meditation and breathe and make that connection. And I need to do it too. I know that like everything for me goes to a whole nother level when I just sit in stillness and do that breath work. And then that helps us get in touch with like, our deeper feelings, like when we can listen to the way that our body gives us those signals to lead us and guide us intuitively. Like how do you feel in your stomach? How do you feel like, on your chest? How do you feel, like how does your body feel? Sometimes it gives you a lot of indication, and we sometimes get afraid and we try to ignore those signals, or we don't want to deal with them, or we don't know what to do. We don't recognize them. So we just think that they're like a panic attack or something. But sometimes like our body is like physically speaking to us as well. How it reacts to things and people and places. It's usually trying to tell us something. All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow for our weekly anchor message where we get our spiritual lessons and assignments for the week. Ciao.